Hello world and happy hacking. My name is Mark. Welcome to webdevcourses.tv, and it's now time for designing UX with TailwindCSS. Cool. Alrighty. So this is essentially day 2. Day 1. What did we do on day 1? I think day 1 I just showed you some basic stuff about why you would use Tailwind. I actually showed you some stuff in the browser, like directly just like putting stuff in the browser. I think today, instead of using like the static, well, no, we're going to continue with that. So we're going to do CDN Tailwind. And the reason is if you want to get going fast, like say you're just designing HTML templates or you're doing something where you don't actually need a web server running with JavaScript and PostCSS and all the other stuff, the CDN is your best friend. The CDN is how you're going to get what you need as quick as possible. Let me just CD down, and This is UX Tailwind. We'll call it day 2. CD into that folder. The wrong damn thing. I'll just do that again. It'll say, I'll do it again. It'll say no, but now it's on the thing, so I can CD into $_ I'm not sure why I did my shortcut wrong. Okay. So we copied some HTML. We can just echo that HTML into a file. We'll just call that, by the way, what I'm doing here, echo is a command in your shell. Then I'm passing a string. It's a multi-line string, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm using this greater than to pipe the value or to redirect the pipe into something else. It's going to be a file. Let's call that index.html. What? Didn't take it as a single thing. Let me try that again. As index.html. Why is that not working? Okay, fine. Code the file. Open it. Yeah, there's no file. There should have been one. I'm not sure what's going on there. HTML. All right, so we've got our HTML. Don't worry about that. It's just what character set. The viewport is pretty important. This scale is pretty important. Make sure that you have this in here. If you don't have this in your HTML template, the CSS stuff that from Tailwind is not going to work. So what is this? Well, this is the entire copy of all of the Tailwind classes. It's not small. It's not fast. It's not cheap. This is, like I said, just the simplest way to get going with Tailwind. It's the simplest way, really, to start learning CSS, because you can use Tailwind to learn CSS. Speaking of which, the extensions that I've got here that actually matter are going to be live preview, so we can actually see our file. And then this Tailwind CSS and IntelliSense. And the reason is if you hover over CSS classes, it only works if we're doing the JavaScript version, I think, because it doesn't know to kick it in for that. You know, I already showed this one. Let me show this real quick, and then I'm going to switch over to the, it's not what I want. Switch over to the JavaScript version. So let's just save this, and let's say preview in automatically start on server, show preview. So right now we have 3XL, we've got bold, we've got underline. So this tells us that our CSS is installed, it's working. If we right click this, oh, we can't because it's not a real browser. Okay, fine, whatever. Let's now switch this to like the way that you're supposed to install this. Tailwind CI. All right, so right now we just got this index file. How do we go from an index file to something that can have JavaScript, for instance? I'm just going to do yarn init -y. That's going to create me a package JSON. I need Tailwind CSS as a development dependency. So now, if we look at our package JSON, we have this dev dependencies. That means that like it's not going to go to the server when we deploy it. It's just for our local purposes. It's a dependency, but only in development. Okay, so we've done that. Now we have to run this npx tailwind CSS command. Okay, what does that do? Oh, it created our config file. Okay, so what does our config file look like? So we're importing a Tailwind CSS library. We're going to call the .config object, and that's going to become the comment. Okay, then we're going to export an object. We have content, theme, plugins. Okay, so if we're going to extend Tailwind by changing like the colors, the fonts, plugins, whatever, this is the file that we would do that in. Okay, so for us, what do we have? Currently, This is the purging operation that I'm going to explain here in a minute. We don't have a src folder. Let's fix that. Let's create a public folder for just regular static HTML and an src folder, which will contain our code. All right, so we'll move public into, or index into public, and our src will just add index.js for now, I guess. Okay, so we need an input CSS. Let's just call this Tailwind. Let's call it globals.css. Okay, so this Tailwind directive doesn't exist yet. JavaScript doesn't know about it. CSS doesn't know about it. Nobody knows anything about this thing. That's going to change when we run this command right here. This is a watcher command. It's going to watch our input file, and as we change it, it's going to copy it and put it into our output file. So what does that command look like? Copy it. Let's paste it, but we have to change some things. Our dist folder is called public, and our output file can be called globals. How about styles.css? Because we're just going to have one. This is going to be src globals.css. So what's happening now is it's watching our content, and it's waiting for us to add something to something that's inside of here. A JSX, HTML file, and when it sees that, it's going to use it. So let's just rename this to HTML. Let's create our HTML5 template. We're not importing a style sheet. We're not importing JavaScript, nothing yet. It's just HTML. Let's put a h1 tag, which Tailwind, if it's working and we don't give it any styles, will have no styles, because Tailwind destroys all the default styles for all the browsers so that it can normalize the styles. All right, so hello world. Nothing happened down here, but that's because we didn't add anything. So let's add class name, well, class, because we're in HTML. Font bold. Okay. So no utility classes were detected in your source file. Let's restart and see if anything changes. No detected in your source files. So did we get a style CSS? We did. These are the reset things. It won't have any of my, well, like it won't have font bold. Font bold, no results. That's what it's telling us here, where it's saying that no utility classes were detected in your source file. So let's take a look at this again. TailwindCSS, HTML is fine, JS is fine, has to be an src folder. src HTML, that should be fine. And this wildcard just means any subfolder, recursive, and then any file. And we'll take JS or HTML. So that should be registering it. What did I miss? Well, we have to put the output in the src. That's the old one. That's the new one. Oh, wait, this one has the old CSS stuff. Also, I want to build that. I don't want that just to be in there. Let's go to here, put it in here. So we're going to go to just /styles, because when it runs, I want this to run in this public thing. Actually, you know, do I really need all that right now? I could just run it from src. Let's do this, because we're not building a React app. Let's go ahead and just call this dist. Let's go ahead and restart this. Change that to dist. Change that to styles. Restart this. Styles, src styles. Let's say styles prod. And that's dist now, or distribution. Okay, so now our styles prod is being built. We will link /styles -prod here. And I'm going to need to make a symlink from my index.html, which is in src index.html. fs to dist index.html. And now it looks like there's one here, but it's really not. Ooh, unable to read file. That means my link was wrong. I think I probably have that backward. rm dist index. Hopefully I didn't wipe out my local file. Nope. I'm pretty sure that it's the thing you want to do first. If I can type. That's too much to read. So pipe it into a grep. And I'm looking for, what was I looking for? ln. So well, it should just be the top thing. So let's pipe it into head. That was supposed to stop. Oh, it's not that big of a file. That's why. Why is this not my whole screen? There we go. Target directory. I named a file. Still doesn't like the symlink. But can I see it through the live server? This does not have my classes. I can tell because that's definitely default CSS. Okay. That's interesting. How does this know where my index file is? Preview. How does it know? Is there like a src folder here somewhere? Does it look for dist automatically? Does it look for public? How does it know? I need to know if I'm looking at this one or if I'm looking at this one. Okay. So let's just build this into the same folder because I have a feeling what it's doing is it's copying it there, but it's not being used. So let's just do same folder, src, because this is being served from /. Do I see my link yet? Head styles prod. Can I open that file? No. And that's because it's not going to src. So that means yes, the root is being bound to the live preview. Let's do live preview from here. But I have no optional live preview from there. Automatically start on server. Go preview. Go preview. Still the default styles. /src. I don't like doing this because this wouldn't work in production. Now my styles are there. So why did live preview change to not working with my folders? Should be a public folder. I guess it probably picks public automatically, but otherwise it doesn't. There's the path. Files without a workspace. I don't think any of this is the answer. I'll just have to make it a relative path. All right, fine. So this is not going to be great for production because this would be in a public folder, but for our purposes, it's fine. How do I know that it's working? Let's take a look at that styles prod. What do we have for font? Okay, so we've got some like basic reset stuff. All reset. And then down at the very bottom, we get one new style. So TailwindCSS is a huge, huge file. It's got tons and tons and tons of declarations in there. You don't have to have all that in your app because it'll only pull out what you actually use. That's what this content thing is. It's called a purge. This file that we're running, or this command that we're running, npx tailwindCSS, is the purge operator. What it does is it'll look at your working CSS file, and it'll look at your code based on the extension that you've defined, and it'll try to match things like this that match inside of a class inside of Tailwind. And then it says, oh, cool. You are already a defined class. I'm going to cut you out and I'm going to put you into their style sheet. And so now what you end up is with these super lightweight normalized style sheets basically for free. And all the utility classes are guaranteed to be cross-browser. Can't beat that. All right. So now that we have a very simple system for running our code, seeing what's going on, and writing some CSS, let's actually make this look not like crap. The first thing that you need is a container class. Now you could totally do this. You could totally do this. I would probably do, you have a header, you have the main, you have the footer. If there is an aside menu, I would have it here. And the stuff that we'd be editing would be in here. So I would put the class on here. And I would say this is a container class. If I don't do anything else but that, you're not going to notice anything. But what it's done is it's just applied a common viewport breakpoint system so that like one device will have one set of breakpoints. So this is defined as extra small. If this, I don't think I can show you. If my Stream Deck was a tablet, if it's this size or a little bit smaller, it's, you know, a tablet. Then otherwise, so that's extra, that's small, and then you have medium, which would be like a small laptop, and large, which would be like a large laptop, and then you got extra large, which would be a desktop and other things. So if we just add MX Auto here and do nothing else, we notice that it's come away from the corner, but that's it. We still don't really understand what this container thing is. My advice when you're learning this stuff, add borders around everything. And then it's very obvious where the stuff is on the page. Okay, so that means that we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 styles in here now, right? Look, here's our media query for the container. So we've got a breakpoint at 640. We've got a breakpoint at 768. This is iPhone. This is phone, basically. This is tablet. This is laptop. And then you got large laptop and then desktops. We've got our auto, which is just going to put an automatic margin on the left and the right so that it constrains the size that our max width is set to. We've got our border. We've got our border red. We've got our font bold. So the Tailwind CSS is still very, very lightweight. It's just the things that we've talked about here. All the other classes that we didn't include don't end up in our final content. All right. We know what this thing does now. What if I don't want it to be like that? What if I don't like the container? What if I say on the small screens, I want it to be like a width of something, I don't know, 1/2. You could do that, but I think what you really would want to do would be to come down to here and modify your breakpoints. That's probably the right way to do it. All right, so what else can we do with this? First off, let's get rid of this. We don't need it. If we wanted to change the whole page, where would we change it? Well, we'd probably change it in the body. So let's say this is BG Gray 800. Let's do something else. Red, blue, pink, purple. Pink 900. How terrible is that? Pretty fucking terrible. What about blue? That looks like indigo. That doesn't look like blue. I guess indigo is more purple. Purple. This is going to be awful. Blah! All right, fine. What about slate? There we go. 800. So we can go one darker and we can go lighter. All right, what about this main thing? What if it had BG color white padding 8? BG, why did I put color? BG white padding of 8. You start to get something that starts to resemble things that you've seen in other places. What if it's a rounded small? A little better. What if it's not quite jammed up to the top? What if we say this whole thing, well, we could just do it on the header. This thing has a margin top of 8, and inside we just say something like web dev courses.tv. So you can start to see this thing come out. Now we're outside of our container, so we need to be back inside of our container. So let's just add a container onto our header. Now we're back into our container, right? No? MX Auto. Okay, so this is something that annoys people. They're like, well, what if I have MX Auto, and container, and like I always want those together? Okay, we go to our styles and we say, we've got a new class. This is our container. I wouldn't name it container because that's going to override the Tailwind container. What if we just said, I want my header to have the container. Whoops. Header. Apply. What's it going to apply? It's going to apply container and MX Auto. Okay. And also the body also has that. And also maybe the footer. Sorry, not the body, the main. I think this is a much better way of doing it. You'll have much less CSS here. And it's much more what I would say best practices. So it gets the same exact thing that we got before, but that stuff has been abstracted down to like the actual names of the things that they're going to be on. Now, if you need to have like one footer on one page different from another page, there's other things that you would do here with being more specific with your specifier. I guess that's why it's called a specifier. With your selector, which is just another way of saying the same. Okay, so we moved the CSS out of there. We still got this body thing, right? Why wouldn't we just say body at apply? Now remember, this is not React code. This is just HTML and JavaScript. If it was React, I would probably encapsulate this stuff inside of a component. We don't have that ability because we're not writing that right here. So now that can go away. You still get the same result. All right, main also should have a body of white. Now we've done header, main, footer together, but we can always just separate main out by itself at apply. And we just want to apply BG white and probably that padding of 8. You know what? Why not just grab all of it, right? Because it's the same thing on every page. And now that can go away. Up covering my windows, man. All right, get my chats back up. Okay, so we still get the exact same result that we had before. We're cutting stuff down out of here. Now we're not gonna have to specify it everywhere. It's gonna be a lot more clean. So my header needs to have apply MT8. Now I can get rid of that there. What if I have like a common H1? Like my H1s are only ever used for SEO purposes, and therefore my H1s are essentially always the hero. You can only have one H1 semantically on a page anyway, so it sort of makes sense. Now, maybe this is apply uppercase, font black, text XL2, 2XL, font white. No, I'm on the container. So then you get something like this, which is not nearly big enough. I was envisioning something more like that. All right, so we've been using Tailwind so far, and we've bound it back to like CSS classes so that our markup is a lot cleaner, right? How can we use this to actually learn anything? But if you look at it, once we have the JavaScript set up, you can actually see what these things do without opening that big file that has all the stuff in it. You can just say, hey, how do they handle an 8 margin on the top? Oh, it's a 2 rem. So if everything's based on a 16 pixel scale, which it should be, then you get 2 rem is 32 pixels. Okay, cool. Background white. Okay, so what's the TWBG opacity? Well, that's a mix-in. Color, it's basically a variable. And you could see that it's being used immediately after. In the var right there, that's where we're using that key, basically. So we're going to divide it by that opacity. So you'll get 1 is a full opacity, and then 90%, 80%, 70%, so on. What about BG Slate? Oh, it's the same thing. So it's an RGB, 30, 41, 59, and we've got divided by some variable for the opacity. So you can see that like you can actually learn quite a bit about how to write good CSS by taking a look at the Tailwind classes. What if the hero thing here? What if there was a div? The hero thing is on the left, and we've got some like giant photo on the right. I don't have a giant photo right now, so I'll just say style and let's use classes. The width is 40. and the height is also 40. What do we get from this? Okay, what about background color? BG red 600, just so we can see it. All right, so it's underneath. I want it to the right. Okay, well, that means that this is a flex box. You could use grid, you could use a lot of things, but I just find the flex box to be the best way to do it. Flex row is on by default, but we could put it there to be declarative. And now it has like a span sort of behavior, like an inline behavior. What if we wanted this box always at the right? Well, I would say what we're really saying there is that we want the title to take up all the space that it can. What if we wanted the thing on the right to still have the box that was this size, but to take up half of it? Div, put a div around it. We're going to put that box back in. This div is part of the flex. So you've got a column and you've got a column. What if this was width 1/2? Width 1/2. Okay, now you get that. But we want the red box in the middle of the page. Well, this right here could become a flex box. So we can flex that. We can set it to item center, which is going to center on the vertical axis because we're at a row. The opposite axis is vertical, so item center is vertical. Justify center is going to be the same axis that we're on. Since we're on a flex row, it's going to be the horizontal axis. Then you get that. And if we had space for something to do with the vertical axis, get this. So it's vertically and horizontally centered. There's some other ways of centering stuff, but to me, that's my favorite way of centering stuff. It's semantic, and I like it. Okay. Well, maybe it's not semantic in like the sense of semantic HTML, but it's declarative. Okay, so my header thing here. I want this, you can't see anything, right? Because it's got a dark background. So again, I would come here and I would say, okay, well, my header also has, I don't like to mix some things. I like to have different apply blocks that will do different parts of the equation. So my margins and paddings and stuff I would put together here, but this is changing the color. And so I don't really want to do those in the same place. But I would want to do like the font there. Black is too much. How about a semi-bold something? There we go. How about we also for the text, so I would keep it on this line. We want, you know, text 4XL. Getting there. We're getting something anyway, right? What time is it? Oh, shoot, we're running out of time. Let's put your classic footer here. You've got a copy, right? Now you want to use HTML entities here. If you don't, if you use stuff like apostrophes in your HTML, it's not actually good for HTML. You're supposed to use the apostrophe entity. Now I know this is a pain in the butt because you're like, okay, I got some text, it's a P tag, and you're like, okay, I'm you, your, right? Like it's weird looking, but it does show up correctly in HTML when you do that. For ours, we just want to do at copy. (2022). And that's supposed to not be that. It's supposed to be an ampersand. And then I want it on the right. So I would do this. I would say put it in a div. I could make this a flex box, I guess. I don't normally like making my semantic things have these sorts of things, but whatever. So flex, row, reverse. I don't really like doing this either, but you can see that it does do it. It does put this content over here. Although it gets confusing because then you have things like this. And then you're like, oh, well, wait a minute. This one was after this one. Why is it before? And it's because you did the reverse. So, yeah. The row reverse is nice. I would probably, if it was me, I would find out what are we trying to do here? For me, I think I would separate my semantic from my styling. So I'd cut this out. I'd put a div here. I put my class there. Put that around these two. Put this one where I want it declaratively, which is before that. Then I would take this one, put it here, get rid of this flex row reverse because I don't like surprising code. This one is just going to have flex grow, which means it's going to take up all the space that it can. So now you get the exact same result, and you have space to put stuff over here eventually. There's a place for it. But more importantly is it pushes everything off over there. Now, I want my footer to also have this apply MT8, but I don't want the MT8. I want some of this text. It's obviously not going to be that big. Let's just make it small. And book. There we go. Something like this. Now, I'm not saying it's pretty, but it's highly responsive, or at least it will be able to be highly responsive when you're building it like this. How do you check responsive? You're going to open up your inspector and then just click on something that looks like this. You're going to find it no matter what browser you're using, but they have different icons and they're in different locations. So right now we know this is not responsive. This is not going to look well, or this is not going to look good on a phone. So how can we fix it? Well, we only want this MT8 to be on like small screens and larger. So we can just put a small on there, so it won't affect extra small. It's extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, extra, like that. So all of these are mobile first. All of these are the extra small. And if you want to make something that's like for bigger things, you want to put on a modifier. So this is probably also something that you would be doing if it was a, you know, large screen, basically. So now this got a lot smaller up here. Okay. What else are we going to change? Main, nothing changes there. Maybe this is only for, you only need those rounded corners, or the big padding, I mean, and the rounded corners on small or bigger. Maybe we only need like a padding of 4 for the mobile. And then you get something like this. All right, so now we're down to this. Text X8, 8XL, it's really big. Okay, so to make it smaller, let's say that the actual default value for this is maybe text extra large. Okay, let's try like 3XL. We're going to see how far we can push it before it's just not readable. I think right about there, because any bigger than that, even the text wrap is not going to help. Then we have to ask ourselves, like, do we still want a side by side? Because it could be that the image is supposed to be like above or below it and take up the whole row, right? In mobile anyway. So let's see. What do we have here? We've got a flex. We've got our hello world. We've got our image. Our image is 40. Well, what if these, you know, one of the things you could do is you could say that these only have this size when it's on, you know, a big screen. Maybe it's only 20 pixels when it's on the small screen. That's one way to solve the problem. Or maybe you say it's width full, height 100. No, that's not going to find it. Height 80. Actually, let's keep the height like 40. Okay, so now you've got a width full. It's supposed to take up all the space. It's not taking up all the space. Okay. What if you did a flex wrap doesn't help there, right? But if you put the flex wrap here, which is on the item level, did I put on the right one? Why is that not wrapping? So flex small, I want flex no wrap. This one, wait, those are the same values with 20 for now. I can put that, this one I want to actually fill up. So what I would do is I would say 40/40 width full. Height can stay 40. And then here, what I want is I want this to, well, for now I'll make it go underneath. On the next session, I'll show you how to like flip it to go on top, or maybe I have enough time for now. It's a half, but that's only for when it's small screens and larger, right? If you do it this way, you don't actually have to do the flex wrap, which will actually make stuff a little cleaner. Okay, so now we want to say that this is width full. Width full. Remember that all the ones that don't have modifiers are essentially wait. Why did it pop back up there? These are, is that considered a small screen? Because I have it open on a big screen? No. It's responsive. Let's set it to like Galaxy. Maybe iPhone. Okay, so it's definitely not wrapping. Let's put our flex wrap back in. So now we get our flex wrap. We want it to, on the small, to be flex no wrap. Come on, flex no wrap. My body is in a hurry to go make some pies. We should have already had, oh wait, no, I need the pies for Saturday because I'll figure it out. So now you get this one on the top, one on the bottom. How about, this doesn't really have to be constrained anymore, right? Where's our H1 tag? Our H1 tag is here. Maybe we just let it all hang out. Oh, nope, that's too big. Too big, can't handle it. 7? There we go. There's our hero. So if you were to open this back up and turn that off, it goes side by side. And when you put it on the mobile, it becomes a mobile friendly device or mobile friendly design. That, my friends, is mobile first. And it's just super easy with Tailwind. And with regular CSS, it's a lot of internal knowledge that you have to know that it's not that useful. And it's just more and more and more ways that you could screw it up. I want to take a moment to thank my producers. Thomas Lawrenson donated to the channel. Chris Loggins has donated to the channel several times, and Joshua Vaughn has donated to the channel several times. That's a tip jar, and it literally goes to feed a Mexican family and keep our power on so that I can keep teaching you instead of taking high price contracts for companies that I don't really care to work for, and I'm not interested or excited to do that work. I've done that for 25 years. I don't have a lot of time left on this earth, and I would rather not spend it at Twitter or at Intel writing code that nobody cares about. I'd rather use it to empower you and to help you become a software developer, a web developer, whatever it is that you want to do so that you can make more money, get more jobs, and just have a better life than you would have had if you were, I don't know, shucking corn or sweeping floors or working in an office that you hate. So I had my hard drive go out. That's why I wasn't here yesterday. I got it fixed. I had to buy a new one. That was the purchase I made right there. It's not cheap to run this channel. So if you can donate to the channel, hit that tip jar link. Give us $1, give us $2, give us 100 if you can. I promise you it's going to go to stuff that I've actually purchased for this channel. It'll go for this channel, and you will get your name on that awesome producers list. And also thank you, Julie Little and Ryan Bent, for being my long-term clients. We are about to take a break, and then we're going to come back at 7 p.m. and do databases in CRUD, SQL, and MongoDB, but we're going to be working on MongoDB today. And at 8 p.m., it's going to be a blast, man. 8 p.m., we're going to start building an RPG game using JavaScript, and that's going to probably be in Canvas. But we'll probably, just like how the DOM is imperative, but then React wraps the DOM so that you have a functional version of it. I have a feeling that we're going to sort of do the same thing with Canvas, because it's an imperative library too. I haven't used Canvas in probably 10 years, and I've never done Canvas functionally. So it'll be fun. It'll be an adventure within an adventure, and we have some great game art, and we have some previous work to work off. There's a YouTuber that I'm actually going to credit for this because I watched his video, and he did such a damn good job, but it's such a long video. I'm going to break it up into hours and like make it more consumable. And we are going to start with his little beautiful map. Actually, you know what? I can pull it up. Well, I'll pull it up later so that I don't spoil the fun. You guys saw it in the thumbnail. We're going to use his map, which took him a long time to make, and that's why he's going to get some credit. We'll talk about that later. I hope you'll come back and join me. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our friends in the USA. Eat that turkey. Enjoy that family. Remember, talk to your family. They're probably nice people. Happy Thanksgiving, all. I'll see you a little bit later. Happy hacking.